Good afternoon, Freedom Inc. family. Been a while since I just done a video and posted it, and I decided, well, today was the day I want to do one. Um, started, I decided to do a video when someone left a comment today, and then I had heard another video that said something that kind of ties these two, tied my thoughts together. So if you, as Guns Coast to Coast said, since um, people that have been born since around 90, 95 have lived in nothing but complete tyranny. If you look at the Patriot Act, we have lived under terrorism that has been masked or confused as patriotism. Things like the Patriot Act, just as an example. It's really hard to take a position and stand on that position. We have a lot of people that claim to be patriots, but in reality, they are what they claim to be against in most cases. Now, this one comment that I want to be talking about, I'm not saying this guy is not a patriot. I'm not saying that he is a terrorist. I'm not saying that his line of thinking is even wrong, because I feel the same way. But even though I know that by believing that way, or stating my belief of that way, or supporting that which would bring that belief to fruition or to reality, is a bad thing and goes against what I believe. Therefore, like, I know there's some people that probably shouldn't have firearms, right? Like, I know that. But I also know if I say that they can't have firearms, it opens up the door so that somebody's standing behind us saying that we shouldn't have firearms. We had talked about alcohol and firearms yesterday. Should you be able to have a firearm on you while you're intoxicated? My position is yes. There's no buts, exceptions, what ifs, unless, none of that shit. You have the right to keep and bear arms, period. Period. Doesn't matter what activity is taking place. Don't matter what you're doing, how intoxicated you are. Now, people say that would be a bad ideal. This particular person said, I disagree with your stance on this. If somebody's obviously inebriated, they're obviously blatantly drunk and stumbling over themselves, they shouldn't be allowed to have a firearm. Okay. Where does it end? Because now you have somebody standing behind you saying, well, hell, obviously if somebody drinks a beer, they shouldn't have a firearm. And then you have somebody standing behind that person saying, well, obviously if they have beer in their refrigerator, they could possibly get drunk. They could possibly then get the firearm. Then you have the person standing behind that person saying, well, if they've ever bought alcohol before, obviously they could buy a firearm. Or have a firearm, go buy alcohol, drink the alcohol, then get to the firearm. Then there's a person standing behind that person saying, well, obviously, do you see where it goes? That's with everything. Yeah, it's probably not the best idea, but here's what you do. You worry about you. You prepare yourself. You make yourself accountable for your own life. And you take responsibility for your own life. Doesn't matter if this dude over here is wasted with a gun. If I have taken the proper steps to ensure that I can defend myself against him. Now I understand, not in all cases, that you're going to have a chance to defend yourself. Somebody can just walk up behind you, boom, point a gun at your head and pull the trigger. I get it. Freedom's dangerous, man. Well, that's all I had to say about it. Freedom's dangerous. I'm unwilling to open the door to say, well, hell, it's obviously a good ideal that this person cannot do this. Because now you've opened the door for the people to stand behind you, to point the finger at you and find an obvious reason why you shouldn't be able to do something that you have a right to do or that you want to do. I say this, and I'm not, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that this dude is anti-patriot, he's a fake. I'm not saying none of that shit. What I am saying is, though, you need to take a position. And if your position is freedom, you stand on that position. Whether it is not always going to help you. It's not always about you winning. It's not always about you being right. It's not always about you being safe. What it is about is freedom. That's what it's about. As long as you default to freedom every time, everybody, we'd be the freest people on the planet. We would actually be free. But it all started with that. Well, obviously, we need to put a tax on this. Well, obviously, you should have a permit to do this. Well, obviously, we should have 4473s or whatever. Like it snowballs. And it continues to snowball. So if you don't open that door, nobody's holding the door open. And every time somebody tries to open that door, if you slam it shut, it's the same thing with felons and firearms. Well, obviously, violent felons shouldn't have firearms. In my mind, I'm like, well, obviously, you shouldn't let them the fuck out of jail if they're that dangerous. If they're too dangerous to have the right to protect their own life, then they shouldn't be let out of jail. And it's not that they don't have the right to protect their own life. They have the right to protect their own life, but the government instills fear in them, so they will not exercise that right. Or else's, remember? We are ruled by or else's. And it's camouflaged as patriotism in a lot of cases. Now, point being is that there are a lot of patriots, self-proclaimed patriots today, that have similar thoughts. Well, I'm a patriot, but obviously you need to vote Republican. Well, I'm a patriot. Well, obviously, obviously, since I'm a patriot, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. Well, obviously, since I'm a patriot, I'm against BLM. It just, they've taken these wedges and they've driven them in between us. They've confused us. We are confused in our own thoughts. We claim to be pro-freedom, yet then we promote slavery. We claim to be capitalist, yet want reparations. I know that's not my neighbor right there. I said that before. So you need to really think about where you stand, is what I'm saying. Like, what's your mindset? What do you stand for? There's no fence. Like, the fence shifts, it's out the window. Some people call it drama, and yes, there is some drama going on in the YouTube community. I'm not going to call it anything other than that. We are all tied together through YouTube. That is it. We're not tied together for any other reason. There has been some drama going on, but in a lot of cases, there's been people showing where they really stand. And you can see through a lot of those comment sections from those creators where other people really stand. People are confused. They're confused in their own minds. They don't know what they think. They think what they're told to think because they haven't thought about their own thoughts. Is it a good idea for drunk people to have firearms? Probably not. But then who decides? Where does it end? It doesn't. It ends with you not having firearms at all. That's where it ends. That's where all this shit ends. Because somebody finds the obvious reason why you were too dangerous for whatever reason, for what could possibly happen. Somebody who's, I know, like me, I'm a happy drunk. I haven't drank, I drank this much of a glass of Jack and Coke a few weeks ago. Besides that, I had a half a beer, and before that, I hadn't drank in about 5 years. I'm the happiest drunk alive. Dude, I can be so drunk, I can't walk, but I still know what I'm doing. I can't walk, but I know what I'm doing. And I'm not being funny at all. In my younger days, as stupid as it was, there was a time, I remember a specific time, I was carried to my truck to drive everybody home. Couldn't walk. Everybody made it home okay. I'm not saying, don't do that. Don't drink and drive. It's bad. I made a choice that could have possibly led to the harm or death of other people. And if that would have happened, I would have had to accept those consequences for that. And but I'm glad it didn't happen. I'm glad I'm not dumb anymore like that. But regardless, some people are angry drunks. Some people are happy drunks. It comes back to being responsible for yourself and your own actions. Being responsible for your own choices. If you know that you're a shitty drunk, probably a good idea you leave the firearm at home. But because you consume something that is legal, you shouldn't have the right to protect yourself. What if I have a beer in me? I'm less worthy of protecting myself than somebody that doesn't have a beer in them? That makes no sense. And you're only thinking from one side. You're thinking the drunk facing outwardly has a firearm. Well, what about people that want to harm him? What if somebody that has a beef with him happens to see him and he's already had 3 beers in, and the limit for having a firearm is 2 beers, and he had to put his firearm away? What, he don't have the right to defend himself against this person that now sees him and has a beef with him? I mean, somebody could literally just sit across the street in a bar and, watch you walk in a bar, and they know you're unarmed now. Oh, he drank 2 beers. He's at his limit. He don't have a gun on him. The law says so. We just need to be careful about what we even say, because if we claim to be a patriot and then we take positions, other people are likely to follow that and think it's okay. Like, I don't call myself a patriot. My actions will prove that's what I am. If that is what I am, you will judge me. Stated in the past is no different than calling myself a hero. If I call myself a hero, you'd look at me like I was retarded. Then you would have the right to. Now, people have said I've committed heroic acts. I don't think so. I think I did what anybody else would do. I think, helping somebody that's in need of help because they've been shot is something that any man would do. I think that trying to put out a fire in a burning building because there's hundreds of people in that building that could possibly get harmed in the middle of the night, I think that's something that any man would do. It doesn't make me a hero just because I put myself in danger in order to help people. It makes me a fucking man. But anyway, if I said I was a hero, you look at me cross-eyed. It's the same way as calling yourself a patriot, because a lot of these patriots are not patriots at all because they have beliefs that make them enemies of the very country they claim to be staunch defenders of. Yeah, the Patriots. The Patriots are the biggest enemy in this country. The self-proclaimed Patriots. Because they go with the flow, they buy into the system, they continue to vote, they pass on beliefs that are not patriotic, but they disguise them as patriotism. And then the next person who wants to believe that they're a patriot picks it up, and they run with that belief. And really, in the end, it's exactly what they claim to be against. You don't believe that drunks should have guns? Well, okay. In the end, that turns into nobody should have guns. So now you're supporting the left, right? You're a patriot, but you're a far leftist, is what you're saying. Because that's where it ends up. And if you support that shit, you're not a patriot. You're what you claim to be against. Anyway, guys, just if you have thoughts like that, it's okay to have thoughts like that. I have thoughts like that. I know that I know, like, I'm not stupid. I know that there are people that probably, run around in society that we'd be better off if they probably didn't have access to firearms. But I'm smart enough to know, number one, that they woke up this morning and wanted a firearm. They have one. Number two, I don't need to worry about what they're doing. I need to worry about what I'm doing. And you should do the same thing. Worry about you. Have a good day, y'all.